The high school lesson. Alex was 18 when he got his first and harshest life lesson. It was his senior year at a regular high school. He was head over heels in love with his girlfriend, planning to attend the same local state college, and quietly build a life together. But the acceptance letters arrived, and it turned out she got into a prestigious Ivy League university on the East Coast. A week before prom, she coldly stated, "I'm sorry, but we're in different leagues now. I need to build a career, and you don't fit into that picture." That day, something inside Alex froze forever. He didn't go out drinking with his friends at parties. He treated it like the pure mathematics of the American dream. In this world, your worth is measured strictly by your success and your bank account. Women, as a concept, simply ceased to exist for him. He put his emotions under heavy lock and key and began to rebuild himself from scratch. His life turned into a typical American hustle, a non-stop race. While his peers were partying in fraternities and racking up massive student loans, Alex worked his tail off. Right after getting his degree, he took an entry-level job at a small logistics company in Chicago. He worked 14-hour days, soaking up the business processes. 3 years later, he moved to a larger corporation, becoming a mid-level manager. 5 years after that, having accumulated experience, connections, and seed capital, he opened his own consulting firm. By 34, Alex had become the epitome of a Forbes-style self-made man. His firm brought in an excellent income. He bought a gorgeous house in a nice suburb and fully supported his elderly parents, paying for their premium health insurance and a cozy home in Florida. Looking at his friends, who were constantly battling their ex-wives in court, paying hefty alimony, and losing their 401s in divorce settlements, Alex realized that no strings-attached one-night stands were more than enough for him. Serious relationships seemed to him like a pointless hindrance, a toxic asset. His life was perfectly calibrated and safe. Everything changed when, at 35, he allowed himself his first real vacation in years and flew to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, for a couple of weeks. It was there, on the sun-drenched terrace of his hotel, that he met her. Sarah. She was nothing like the stereotypical gold diggers he was used to ruthlessly cutting off back in the States. She worked as an interior designer, seemed effortless and genuine, laughed at his jokes, and didn't care in the slightest about the brand of his watch. The defensive barriers Alex had been building for 17 years crumbled. He fell in love, blindly and desperately, the way only a man who has kept his heart in a freezer for far too long can. Their 6 months of dating back in the U.S. felt like a perfect movie. Alex, a control freak by nature, finally relaxed. 6 months later, he bought a perfectly cut diamond ring and proposed to her. The wedding was luxurious. Before the ceremony, Alex's lawyer drafted a standard prenuptial agreement, prenup, that would protect Alex's business in the event of a divorce. When Sarah saw the paperwork, she threw a fit. She cried, saying it sounded like he was already planning their divorce and didn't trust her at all. Blinded by love and certain he had finally found the one, Alex made the most expensive mistake of his life. He tore up the draft prenup right in front of his shocked lawyer. The marital idyll lasted exactly 2 years. By the time Alex turned 37, it was as if Sarah had been replaced by a stranger. The effortless vibe vanished, giving way to coldness, constant nitpicking, and unexplained irritation. Alex tried to save the marriage. He paid for expensive couples, therapists, and suggested new trips. But the wall between them only grew. And then, on a completely ordinary Tuesday, a courier handed him a thick envelope. Sarah was being represented by one of the most aggressive law firms in the city. They were divorce papers. Alex only realized the true scale of the catastrophe in his lawyer's office. Since they lived in a community property state, and there was no prenup, everything got complicated. Yes, the business was established before the marriage, but precisely during those 2 years of married life, Alex's firm had signed several multi-million-dollar contracts, and its valuation had skyrocketed. Under U.S. law, all of that appreciation in the company's value, plus the real estate bought during the marriage and the growth of his investment portfolio, was considered joint marital property. The divorce turned into legal robbery. Sarah walked away, successfully suing for half of the capital gains that Alex had poured his youth and health into creating. She took millions of dollars simply for wearing his ring for 2 years. Alex was alone again. In his empty office, looking at the signed asset division papers, he was suddenly engulfed by a horrifying sense of déjà vu. A familiar, suffocating feeling from a long time ago. For a fleeting moment, he felt like he was 18 again, standing on the eve of that very same prom, listening to himself being crossed out of someone else's successful life. The only difference was that back then, he was only robbed of his teenage dreams. But now, this lesson had cost him half of everything he had built.